They update it as early as 5 o'clock in the morning, and then they'll continue to update things as they go throughout the day. Then finally, hopefully you've all done this when you started school, but you all have an URSA account. If you enter your cell phone number and your email address into the URSA account, there's a box for emergency notifications. You'll get those notifications directly to your phone. Okay? All good things for you guys to have just for being students here, but also good things for you to have as employees. Okay, so some of your university resources, I just wanted to kind of let you know that we're not in this by ourselves. We have a lot of departments, you met some of them today, that help us create a safe and welcoming environment to the Campus Rec Center. Environmental health and safety. The building staff knows this as Glenn Adams. Glenn Adams, about this big, red hair. When he's roaming around the building, he's basically doing safety checks. He's taking a look to make sure we're up to code. He's also the gentleman who runs our fire drills. So when you see him around, you kind of want to be a little bit more on alert. But he's a very nice gentleman. You don't have to be afraid of him. And you're more than welcome to ask him what he's doing. Athletic training, we have one athletic trainer on staff. She helps out with club sports quite a bit, Cayenne. What are her hours this semester?
She's going to be here on Tuesdays this year in the massage therapy room from 5 to 9.
Okay. So again, intramurals and club sports, good opportunity to have some assistance here. Counseling center, the health center, all on Central Campus, and then the care response team. The one thing I want to make note of is the Dean of Students office. They have a form on their website, if you haven't learned this yet, called Share a Concern. And John, if you can hit the next slide, actually a picture of it hopefully. So this is their website. You got a couple of different options here. This is the general form. You can fill it out anonymously if you need to. This is for any situation that maybe you encounter either personally or here at work if you have a concern for somebody's health or well-being. Here's a good option for getting them help, or at least having somebody check on them that maybe has some professional background if you're not comfortable dealing with those situations. All right, so bringing it back to the rec center, you all are mandatory or have mandated get CPR, first aid, AED certification as a bare minimum. We all, as staff, professional, and student, have to have at least that certification to work here. There will be, and I'll share with you the date, we will be having a certification here soon. Obviously, there's other specialty certifications that many of you do through your individual positions. First aid supplies. We have first aid supplies behind the front desk downstairs, and then the Outdoor Pursuits gear shop has some in your trip closet, so ready to go for those situations. AED locations, anybody know where this one is?
Oh, elevator.
Body elevator, great. Makes a real piercing noise when you open that door. That's to let the front desk know that somebody is messing around with the AED. We also have one out at the West Campus field. That is in the storage area where intramurals and club sports kind of operate out of there. And then Cayenne, our club sports athletic trainer, also has one that travels around with her. Other resources, we do have a public address system in this building. We haven't capitalized on it yet, but we are looking at making some improvements to that to help with the building staff making announcements. As well as, I think everybody carries around at some point a two-way radio. All right, this is the icky stuff. So what I want to say first is, with regards to bloodborne pathogens, we are in an active environment. People are going to sweat, people are going to bruise their knee or cut themselves. It's just bound to happen. What we want you guys to know is how to react to certain things, okay? And maybe some of the rules that we may have in place are also to kind of help prevent some of this stuff. So bloodborne pathogens are infectious, okay? So if you come into contact with somebody who might have MRSA. And you know, for some reason you have an open cut on your arm, and that comes across their sweat or something along those lines, you can be infected. So in order to try and prevent some of this stuff, we do things like building staff. What do you guys do on an hourly basis or on a regular basis? Clean, rounds, yes. Clean the equipment. So we ask every patron to wipe down the equipment when they're done using it. It's not just because it's gross to get on a piece of equipment after somebody's been sweating on it. It's also to help prevent this kind of stuff and keep things clean for the next person. We then have our building staff do regular cleaning. We also have our custodial staff do regular cleaning. And then we as participants should also be doing cleaning after ourselves, okay? So a lot of this takes this out of consideration. So you can see some of what some of the causes are and where they can be found. So prevention. What we're talking about is really number one, when you're cleaning, wearing gloves, okay? Wearing gloves when you're cleaning, when you're taking out trash, when you're really wiping down equipment, when you're doing laundry with the towels, outdoor pursuits, when you guys are doing laundry for the gear that comes back, really be good practice to wear gloves. Washing your hands, you'll see we'll put signs up every once in a while to kind of get people's attention. But really, after you're done cleaning, you should really have good practice of washing your hands afterwards, okay? Gloves is great, but you never know. You might have a little hole in one of them, whatever. It's good practice to wash your hands. Lastly, never put your hands in a trash can to push down. And I'm looking over that way because somebody just did that. So you don't want to do that for a number of reasons. One, it can be kind of gross. But two, you don't know what's in those trash cans. You don't know what gets dropped in those when you're not looking or when you're not around. So I really don't want anybody to get poked by anything dangerous. So don't do that. Rather, just wrap up the trash, take it out, don't push down on it to make room. Okay. All right, moving on. So some of the cleaning products that we have, 16 and 24. 16 is a pink colored chemical. It's good for just general cleaning. It's like Clorox without the bleach, okay? 24 is more along the bleach line, okay? It's more of the hospital grade chemical cleaning. 16 is good for just wiping things down and getting stains off of stuff and all that. 24 is what we're going to want to use for any blood or vomit or anything along those lines. Personal protective equipment, PPEs, okay? Really what that means, again, I'm going to emphasize this over and over again, wear gloves. Wear the latex or the nitrile gloves that we have for you downstairs whenever you're doing any cleaning. Turf guard. Turf guard is kept out at the field house, and it obviously helps with the cleaning of the turf. If we were to have any kind of major blood spills or vomits or anything like that out at an intramural game, after using a towel, things like that to clean it up, you're going to come through with turf guard and try and clean up the rest of it. Voban. Voban is that stuff that, well, I refer to it as the cat litter we used to have when I was in elementary school. But it's basically that granular, powdery, wood chip looking stuff that soaks up all the vomit or blood. You want to use that, let it harden, and then scoop it up with either a dustpan or brush. Put that into a biohazard bag, which is the next one, and then come back and clean everything else up with 24. Okay? Last thing I'm going to mention, you've seen these yellow binders around. They're usually close to the laundry products. That is every chemical that the campus rec center has. If for some reason you're using, for instance, 24, and you're cleaning, you get some of that in your eye, okay? Not that you're gonna have time to read it, but the information in here tells you what kind of chemical and how to clean up and how to prevent burns and things like that. For the most part, actually, I can tell you, all of our chemicals, if you use water, you're going to be safe. But the purpose of the material safety data sheet is there's some chemicals in the world where water can be a reactant and kind of generate not so good stuff. So we do have this information for you if you ever have an allergy to it or you get a rash or something like that. You can kind of find out what's in the chemical. These are located behind the front desk, around the laundry areas, and in our custodial office. All right. Okay, so let's do a little story time with this. So types of incidents. Incidents can be a little bit of everything, okay? They can be little arguments, they can be strange behavior, they can be really anything that doesn't involve an injury. Where you guys come into play is, again, the see something, say something piece. An example of strange behavior, and really this picture is kind of prevalent. We had a young man out front. You know where the bushes are by the bike racks? He was in between the bushes and the building. And he was crouched down in kind of this sneaky position. And he was just hanging out there. And I get a call from a building supervisor. And he said, there's some kind of creepy dude out front. What do I do? So I went down, saw the creepy dude. I don't know if he saw us, but I told them to be ready to call, PD if we need, assistance. Because I was going to go out and approach the young man. So I go out, come around, past the bike rack, and I peek in behind the bushes and I say, "Are you okay, sir? Is there something I can help you with?" He goes, "Oh man, you saw me?" Apparently he didn't realize that you can see out our windows. And he was, I guess, going to try and scare a friend. But it had our front desk pretty well kind of bothered. We've also had instances where there was a young man, where we had the plyo boxes in the synergy room, kind of built up in the corner. And he would get up on top of those, sit there, and basically watch anybody else work out. Basically, it was the lifeguard of the synergy room. So again, it didn't work for us. Wasn't his job. So again, that's another incident that we had to deal with. Those are more comical and less threatening. Obviously, if we're dealing with theft or vandalism, we want as much information documented as possible. And then we call PD, have them come over and take their report. Arguments and loud behavior, and really fights and violence. I'll lump them all together. Number one rule. Yes, I want you guys to see something, say something. What I don't want you to do is ever put yourselves in harm's way. If there's a fight breaking out, it is not my intention, it is not my expectation that you go over there, put yourself in the middle of the fight, and try and break things up. That's not your job, okay? Don't ever want you to do that. What is your job is to get help. Get help and maybe make enough racket for them to hear you so you can say, if you guys don't knock it off right now, I'm calling PD, Try and scare them that way, try and get them to calm down on their own. And obviously I would still call UNCPD, have them come over and talk to the people involved. It can be kind of crazy. If it gets to be a bigger crowd, stay back, observe, keep trying to calm people down. Don't grab anybody, don't try and separate anybody. That's where I really don't want you guys crossing that line, okay? All right, medical or health emergency, diabetic emergency. We've come across this a few times, where somebody with just either diabetes or in general low blood sugar, working out and just passes out or is feeling faint, things like that. A lot of times we can take our direction from them. If they're conscious and they say, I need sugar, I need candy bar, I need orange juice, whatever, go ahead and grab money from the cash register, get them a drink or a candy bar or whatever they're needing, and help them out. Again, obviously we want people to call 911, get some help over here so that they can get checked out accordingly. All right, so again, if you see something, I want you to say something, and then I want you to document it. We have one form that covers everything for us, and it's an incident injury report. I'll show you that in a second. And then lastly, never put yourself in harm's way. Okay? All right. Who, and I'm going to pull up my cheat sheet because there's a lot of them. Who can tell me, when do you call 911? I've gone over a couple of them already.
Concussion.
Concussion, okay? Neck or back?
Severe bleeding.
Severe bleeding. Seizures. All right, good stuff. All right, anything dealing with neck and back, anything dealing with consciousness, unconsciousness, anything dealing with concussion, heart, chest, things like that, health-wise, and of course, any of those serious incidents that we were talking about where you want PD to back you up. All right, when dealing with a serious injury, check call care. For those that don't have your CPR, first aid, AED training yet, this is going to be reiterated in that training. Refusal of assistance from emergency response personnel. The reason why I threw this on here, number one, if you are ever unsure about the health of somebody, okay, whether it's in your program or in this building, and you're like, I'm not sure if this person's okay, I'm not sure what they did to themselves, I don't know if it's a break, I don't know if it's a sprain or a strain, I don't know what their injury is. You guys aren't doctors, you're not really supposed to know. You can always call UNCPD. That 2245 number that I keep saying, can bring them over. It doesn't cost anything. It takes the responsibility off of you and puts it on PD. PD can then make a call. Yeah, you know what? We're going to need an ambulance. Go ahead and call an ambulance in and bring them here. The person still has the right to refuse the emergency response. They can still say, I don't want to go in an ambulance, whatever. It doesn't cost them anything. It doesn't cost their insurance anything as long as they don't get in the ambulance. Nothing happens. We can bring the ambulance here. It doesn't cost them anything. They can get checked out by an EMT. It doesn't cost them anything. Where it costs them money is when they get into the ambulance and are transported away from here. So I want to make that point with you because there's a lot of times where we'll have an injury, especially in intramurals, where I'm okay, I'm all right, I don't need a doctor, I'm fine, I'm going to go home with my friend, okay? If you guys are ever unsure, I'm not saying you hold the person here, but explain to them, I can have somebody check you out and make sure everything's okay, and it'll be for free. You don't have to do anything, you don't have to pay anything. So if we can make sure that we understand that, that would be great. Next, the incident report form. Johnny? All right, so you barely see it, but I put those pages on here just to kind of give you an idea. This is a report now that the university uses, so we are in the same on the same communication with the university. It's the basic information of the patient or the victim up top. And here is kind of the dialogue as to what happened. But what I want here, and too often we don't have it, what I want in that blank page is detailed narrative about what happened. If I just see sprained left ankle and that's all I see on the front page, I don't know how they got it, I don't know what happened, I don't know if somebody else was involved. I need to know the rest of the story, okay? So if you can give us as much information as possible, as quickly as possible, I would appreciate it, and it helps in the long run, especially if somebody's trying to get back to a club or something like that. We have all this information on file, okay? So I really want to stress that second page with you. Evacuations, okay. Glenn Adams, red hair, little guy. You're not taping that, are you?
I'm gonna show it to Glenn too.
All right, so evacuations. We're obviously talking about indoor evacuations. So I don't think, knock on wood, we will ever have like a real fire in this place. There's not a whole lot in this building to burn up, except obviously the floor we're on. But we practice it anyway, okay? What I need you all to know, this is number one, you're in this building and we have an evacuation, no matter what it's for. Our meeting place as a staff is right out front here at the emergency post. There's a phone there, blue light, and it's 100 feet away from our front doors. Number one, that's all you remember. Get out of the building, get to that post. In cases of a bomb threat, I've only experienced this once since I've been here, and it was a joke. Can happen. We can have some of that happen. If that happens, we have at the front desk a checklist, bomb threat checklist. So it has specific questions to ask if somebody's calling in a bomb threat. If somebody comes up to you and says, I got something in my bag here, you can kind of ask some questions. You have a script to go off of. So with regards to a bomb threat, you don't really want to be using your cell phones. You'd rather just use the landlines. You don't want to make any public announcements. Personal training. Okay, personal threat or active shooter. Sorry. You're going to get active shooter training later, but with regards to any kind of personal threat where you might have somebody with a weapon, again, calling PD and getting out of the building. Gas leak, we have had gas smells in the building that have evacuated our building. Again, another possible evacuation. Power failure. We won't evacuate a building until we know that the power is not going to be coming on anytime soon. So if the lights all go out, we suspend activity for about a half hour, and then it's really up to the supervisors as to whether or not after a half hour you want to continue or if we're going to cancel or postpone. But after that point, it's looking like we're going to close, okay? There's obviously no air conditioning, there's no water fountain cooling, there's no plumb, things kind of go out and you're not able to do much in the building if there's a power failure. So that's when we get out. It's not as an emergency, but more so we don't want anybody doing stuff in the dark here. We want to get everybody out. All right. So we kind of talked about the steps, meeting location. Again, this is the big one. For the gear shop, for outdoor pursuits, if you guys have to evacuate Harrison, if it's a drill and you know it's a drill, I'd like you to meet out front here. If it's something serious, we are your backup location. So if you need to get out of the building for your own safety, and if the weather's bad, if there's some kind of incident going on, I'd like you to come here so that we know where you're at, okay? If it's safe, okay? We're a direct shoot from the parking lot, so you can get right out that front door and come right over to the building. If for some reason it's something on this side of campus and we all have to vacate, that's when we go to that emergency post. Okay. All right, more stuff. All right, big one. You don't want to use the elevator in case of fire or power outage for obvious reasons. Elevator shuts down. Area refuge is right behind us. It's the GA office, so Kennedy and Brin's office. We use that in case we have somebody who is physically unable to evacuate. and the elevator has been shut down because of fire or whatever. Let's see, other helpful steps. So, building staff, this is mainly you guys. If you're clearing out a building, clearing out the rec center, closing the doors behind you basically says this area's been checked and cleared, and you move on. The only thing is the gyms are on magnets. So fire alarms go off, the gym doors automatically start shutting. The difference is we have so much air pressure in those gyms that the doors actually stay open. So if you clear a gym, you close the doors behind you. It's good practice for a drill. Obviously, if we're evacuating, my first and foremost thing is that you get everybody out safely. And get everybody out safely to the nearest exit. Crowds have this thing with them where they have to go out the front door, the same door that they came in. If the fire alarm's going off, going down an emergency exit isn't going to change anything. The alarm's already going off. So if we can get people out the nearest exit, that is preferable. All right. Keep going. Power outages are covered. We're good. Move on. Okay. Watches and warnings pertains primarily towards tornadoes. So, watch, conditions are favorable. A warning has been cited in the area. With regards to tornadoes, we have some shelters. I'll get into that in the next slide. If we are in a watch, activities continue, but you all need to stay in tune with what's going on. So building staff has the TV, we also have the phones, you have notices on your phones, intramural sports supervisors, hopefully you're using your weather apps, things like that, to keep an eye on things. As soon as we move into a warning, we go to shelter. Okay, there is no ifs, ands, and buts about it. Get to shelter, no messing around. With regards to alerts, university put in, I think it was last year or the year before, in those call boxes around campus, they're able to make public announcements about the tornado. Again, the snow cone we mentioned, and your cell phone apps. So, shelters. In our building, in the rec center, locker rooms and laundry area, which is back behind the front desk, are designated tornado shelters. For the gear shop, it's in the basement. Take the steps, not the elevator. For Jackson Field and the ropes course, you're looking at the Jackson restrooms over there, and Parsons, okay? Parsons is facilities management. It's down the dirt road. It's a little bit further away, but it's another option. West Campus Fields, you're talking about really first and foremost, it's in the wrong order, here. We want you guys back in this building, in with us. If you don't have time, you have field storage that's out there, but you have us and Butler Hancock next. So we would much prefer you guys to move to shelter as soon as possible. Not that many of you are at Dobemeyer, but that's another option. McKee and Candelaria Halls. Okay? All right. So, all activities stop, proceed to shelters. Anybody wishing to stay in the rec center must go to shelter. We don't allow anybody to continue working out. You either gotta get in the shelter or get out. Okay? No working out. Stay away from windows. We have a go bag back behind the front desk. Has some emergency supplies in it, ready to go. And then we do not leave the shelter until the alert system signals the all clear. Okay. Again, this is a new system that the university put in. It's very helpful. It takes the guesswork out for us. Lightning. Okay. Lightning, things have changed. Okay. National Weather Service now has a new policy, and we're going to listen to them. So apparently, if a storm is approaching and you got thunder and lightning and all that stuff. And you see the big dark clouds coming your way. Apparently, lightning can strike anywhere from 6 to 10 miles out from that cloud. Okay? Not that it's more likely that way, but it has the possibility. So, flashbang method is counting the number of seconds between the flash of lightning and the crack of thunder. You then take that number, and as best you can, you're going to divide that number by what? 5. Okay? All right. So, if you got 40 seconds, it means it's 8 miles out. That mark now for us is everyone should head for shelter at that point. Okay? 6 miles, and the NCAA follows this as well. If we have lightning within 6 miles, we are in shelter at that point. You're not heading to shelter. We want you inside at that point. Okay? So this 8 mile mark and the 6 mile mark have changed up a little bit. For those using the old method, it was 6 miles originally. They bumped that out because of whatever reason. So it's now 40 seconds, head for shelter, stop all activities. We then don't resume activities until there's 30 minutes after both the last sound of thunder and flash of lightning. Okay? For the most part, this will probably end evening activities. Okay? 30 minutes is a long time to wait, and I understand that. We will get into individual trainings, what that means from a decision-making standpoint. But again, 40 seconds, everybody's heading to shelter. 30 seconds, we're in shelter. 30 minutes, we can go back out. Okay. Avoid using landlines. Here's another misnomer. If somebody's struck by lightning, they don't keep a charge. Okay. You can move to first aid and CPR if need be after somebody has been struck by lightning. So again, they don't hold the charge. They're safe to touch. You can proceed with them as normal. So just keep that in mind if that ever happens. All right. Moving right along. Okay. Shelters again. We kind of covered that one. Okay. All right. Private legal stuff. All right. HIPAA. Not Hippo. HIPAA. HIPAA basically says, and this is what I want you guys to get from this, prohibited to discuss or share information regarding someone's personal health with anyone. Somebody gets injured, somebody has a really bad injury, whatever, something bad happens at work, you write up an injury report, incident report, you are not allowed to share that with anyone except proper authorities. Okay? So that is not for you to say, hey, did you see what happened to Sam so-and-so? You know, no. You are employees of this university, and we are bound by HIPAA not to share that information. Same thing.